You're listening to a Time Machine podcast. Old Movie Time Machine. An adventure through time and or space. Hello everybody and welcome back to Old Movie Time Machine. This is the show in which we use color films made in the old US of A between the years of 1945 and 1965 as windows into the past. We climb through the windows and we explore, we probe, we question the world and the people beyond the window. And while we do this, we're going to be asking some critical questions, such as these very people that I was just referring to. Who are they? Who are these people? Also, what are their habits? Also, how are they treating each other? Also, what decisions are they making and why are they making them? And the final also, times 5 or 6, wherever we left off, what are they wearing and what do their living rooms look like? And then at the end of the show, we pass back through the window to modern times, where we ask ourselves the final, ultimate question on behalf of all of humanity here in the early 21st century, which is, you guys, this movie that we just watched, that we just soaked in and, spun it maybe once, maybe twice, sometimes 3 times, this very movie, are we going to keep watching this? Is this a thing we're going to go out of our way for, to make an effort to show ourselves, to show our friends, show our family? Or is it a vacuum? Is it empty? Is it simply the void to be left to sort of float? Do voids float? I don't know if they could. To exist in matter elsewhere, just somewhere else. Fuck it, get out of here, movie. We're going to find out. I'm your host, by the way, through time and or space, Justin Zeppa, joined as ever by my incredible, infallible panel of international experts at being human in the early 21st century. Starting on my left, you know her, you love her, you show up for her on a weekly basis. It's the one and only singular Shrishma Naik. Hey, Shrishi Boo.
Hello, Justin.
Welcome back to the program.
I was very impressed with your use of science in the introduction.
Oh, you like that? Yeah, I mean, it's pretty serious.
Solid.
Does that make me a scientist at this point?
It makes you a Shrishi scientist.
Okay, great. We're scientific thinkers. It's not accredited.
Right.
Shrishi University cannot legally give you a document that says you're a doctor or a scientist or a lawyer or something like this, but vibe-wise?
Vibe, it was right. It was right there. Ace.
Right on.
You
Thank
were
you so much.
Postdoc in...
Wow, you enjoyed my thesis I laid out there?
Yes.
Sciencey thesis about windows.
And voids.
And the void, yeah.
Voids.
Floating voids, right. How much does a void weigh? Write us.
We'll never know.
Partyline at oldmovietimemachine.com.
Because we don't know what we don't know.
Well, boy, isn't that the core tenet of Shrishi science? On your left, and also across the goddamn Atlantic Ocean, she's the best in the biz, folks. Sister Biz, that is. She's my sister. She is your sister. She is the world's sister. Carolyn Naoroz is on the program. Hi, sis.
Hey there.
Well, you just got a little round of applause from Shrishma Naik over here. She is happy to know that you are with us.
It's a mutual admiration club. I love Shrishi Boo.
Oh, you guys.
I love you too.
When do we get a little side project from you two? When do you guys meet up and record your shows and your chats and then edit them and put them out?
At least we have to do Sound of Music when you're here,
Yeah.
Carolyn.
Yeah. That's we're doing so much when she's here. Nobody is allowed to get sick during that time. Carolyn will be making the journey to the studios over here in Iceland at the end of April. So you will be getting loads of that kind of themed content coming up. I hope you folks are ready for it. Just like I hope you guys are ready for today's motion picture film. Gang, the Noirs of Moirch. Moirch on.
It's great.
Is it settling in? It sounds natural?
It's sounding more and more natural.
The Noirs of Moirch. Is a t-shirt worthy, though? I survived the Noirs of Moirch.
That might be more.
Okay. I survived the Noirs of Moirch. Well, it's happening. Week 2 of the Noirs of March. Excuse me. Last week, of course, we had the incredible Niagara. Well, I mean, I thought it was incredible. Some people disagreed. Such is the nature of this program. We do get split cards here sometimes. You know, like sometimes the judges can't agree who landed the most blows, right? So sometimes we split it up. Sometimes it's 3-1. Sometimes 2-2. Sometimes we get a sweep, though. Either thumbs up or thumbs down. It's been known to happen. It happens. We'll see what happens today, though, because we are watching 1954's. Remember, we're doing this in sequential chronological order. Last week was 1953's Niagara. This is 1954's Black Widow. I had never seen this movie before. You guys ever seen this?
No.
Nah. Carolyn?
I had never seen this before.
Okay. I will refrain from comment at this point because we have to do our one-line reviews for Black Widow, starting with Shrishma Naik.
I didn't have much, but I thought I just generally, my general one-line review for this one was when gold digging goes wrong.
Sure. Yeah. Fair enough. I mean, pretty simple, pretty clear-cut case. Carolyn, do you have a one-line review for 1954's Black Widow?
Yes. Black Widow is a film following a social climbing young woman who is not that attractive. Social climbing with very unattractive people.
But powerful and wealthy people.
I think only Ginger Rogers and who is it from Leave Her to Heaven?
Oh, Iris?
Yeah.
Iris Denver?
Yes. Our actual leading ladies of the stage are gorgeous, but everyone else, I don't need to see him again.
I mean, it's okay. Because, Carolyn, I'm going to respond to this with my one-line review, which is serviceable thriller filled with hotties. Because it's not just Lottie and Iris. We're also talking about, let's not forget, Claire. Do we remember Claire? Claire is the friend with the brother.
Yeah.
Who is a hottie.
She's your type.
She's also a hottie. She's not the hottest, though. You know who I think might be the hottest?
Nanny?
I'm going to reserve until we get to that point. But that's a teaser for you guys. There's somebody in this movie who I found to be absolutely gripping. Like,
I think I know who you're talking about.
We'll find out. Great job with the one-line reviews, guys.
Yeah, we did
what
amazing.
Are we doing now? Yeah. Okay.
I just want to say, I guess I have to confess that I didn't finish watching the movie.
Where did you leave off?
I left off, like they were going through her recap. Like they were recapping what.
So that you were getting flashbacks.
Flashbacks. Sorry.
Was it about the events leading up to the eventual spoilers murder?
Right.
Like that thing? Yeah. Okay. So you were close to the end.
Yes.
You know enough to know when we tell you what happened,
Yes.
you'll be like, oh yeah, right.
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't finish it. So to me, I still don't know who was the murderer, or was it?
Okay, so this is exciting for the listener.
Right.
Shrishma does not know who maybe killed Nanny, whatever her last name.
Can I give a new one-line review?
Yeah, Carolyn, please, if you would. I was going to swing back to you anyway because I feel like, look, guys, I just want to be candid with you. I feel like our one-line reviews.
Oh, that was bad.
They ran out of gas. Like all of us ran out of gas. We were 0 for 0 in that round of
not even
one-line
Gold
reviews.
Diggers?
Actually, Gold Diggers was pretty good. That was good.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed in myself because I waited to the last minute. Carolyn, what do you got? You want to do round 2?
Yeah, I want to do round 2.
Let's do a second draft.
Okay.
Carolyn, do you have a Carolyn Naoroz over across the Atlantic? Do you have a one-line review of 1954's Ginger Rogers' Black Widow?
Yes. It's a New York whodunit, but the question needs to be asked, do we care about it?
Do we care about the answer? All right, Carolyn, thank you. I'm glad we did draft 2. I feel like that was a great punch up, and I think it's really going to carry the show into this next segment here. Are there any further, I never asked this, but are there any further comments before we get into this?
No, let's get into it.
I think we're good.
Okay. Okay, guys. So it's Black Widow, as previously noted. It's a noir fitting the noirs of Moirch as they march on. And it stars a man named Van Heflin. Now, do you guys recognize this man?
No.
You do, actually. We spent a lot of time talking about this man in our episode for Boardroom Handies, a.k.a. Woman's World. This man is the man who was tapped by the pervy dude who kisses the trampy wife. He's the husband of the trampy wife.
He's
at
the
the end of that
Texan.
movie.
Oh. He's the
Yes.
Texan? Okay.
Obviously, very memorable characters for the entire film. I don't remember any of their names, but I do remember the name of the movie. It is Woman's World, and that is a pretty decent episode from us. So go back and check that out if you saw Van Heflin and you're like, damn, I need more of this in my life. I was thinking, so per my poorly executed one-line review of there being a number of hotties in this movie, I was thinking, I feel bad for you guys, you ladies. Like, do you ever see men in these movies where you're like, yeah, I'd date that?
Sean Connery
In this
and Dr.
particular-
No,
No.
just in any of these.
I
Sean
mean, yeah,
Connery.
Sean Connery, okay.
I think Rock Hudson in the
Rock gets pretty good reviews from everybody.
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, he's good to look at. I don't care if he's not into women. He's still pretty.
But what's interesting is, so Carolyn, you think the women aren't hot in this, and you think they are?
Well, I think Iris is hot.
Yeah.
Gene Tierney, we speculated about what Gene Tierney, the star, she plays Ellen in Leave Her to Heaven, right? In 1945. So this is almost 10 years later. What happens 10 years later to that gripping performer? Because I didn't know. And she's great here. And she does a great performance and stands by her man.
Oh, and I think Ginger
and she's a
Rogers
hottie.
is
She
lovely
looks
as well.
Right.
Ginger, not so much my type in a physical sense, we'll say, but great performance as well. I mean,
Yeah,
and
but
who
this
can
was out
deny
of
that?
character for her.
Sure. And she's working that transatlantic accent like nobody's business.
She's Lottie.
She's Lottie, yeah.
Okay.
I didn't think that our social climber was attractive. And I think in large part because of her hair.
The
Her
hair's
hair
bad.
was bad.
It's bad hair.
true.
So what we're talking about here, we're talking about a character named
Nancy.
Nanny. Or I mean, her nickname is Nanny, but her name is Nancy. I do not recall her last name. But it doesn't matter.
Ordway.
Boardway?
Ordway.
Interesting.
Nancy
So-
Ordway.
Oh, Ordway. Oh, okay,
yeah,
okay. I was
you're
like,
right. Yeah,
is this like a poorly executed play on Broadway? Boardway? Like, what?
I don't know.
What was the writer thinking? Okay, Nanny Ordway. Anyway, she is. Her hair is short and curly.
And looks crunchy. It looks like a box of ramen.
Looks crunchy. Yep, that's true. And also, she is. Look, guys, not to put too fine a point on it, but she's a little crazy, right? She has some issues. I say crazy with respect. She has some issues in her mind, a lot of fantasies and social climbing that she is trying to accomplish in her very busy writing day. Because she's also a writer. So just real quick, we'll get through the intro here. So we meet Peter Denver and his wife, Iris Denver. So Peter is Van Heflin and Iris is Gene Tierney from Leave Her to Heaven. And they are saying goodbye at the airport. She is an actor, a very famous actor, and he is a producer of presumably Broadway shows. And they're parting ways. She has to go be with her mother, who has fallen ill in New Orleans, so she's leaving. And before she gets on that plane, which she just has to step outside and walk on there because those were the times, right? There's no metal detectors back then. Before she does that, though, she makes him promise, yes, I'm going to go to our friend's apartment upstairs, / also the star of the show that Peter is producing. And I'm going to go show my face and pretend to have a nice time because they've invited me. He doesn't want to, of course, because he is a man. And he does end up giving way, though, because, like I say, his wife is hot. She's going to do whatever she wants. This gets us to this party where we meet Lottie, played by Ginger Rogers, who at this point is sort of late middle of her career, Carolyn. I'm not really sure. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And is really putting on quite a performance in this film. She's very kind of big, I would say. She's giving a big performance as her character demands, right? So she is married to a man named Brian, who also is excited that Peter is there because, if I got to suffer through this bullshit, so do you, buddy boy. So get back in there, So Peter, feeling a bit anxious about the crowd inside the apartment, and these are massive apartments, by the way. These are huge penthouse guys. He heads out to the terrace and just stares out over the city. And he looks over, and who does he see but a young woman who is also staring out over the city looking kind of morose. And this is the aforementioned Nancy Boardwalk Broadway Ordway. What is her name? Ordway?
Ordway.
Yeah, Boardway, like I said. And she is wistfully gazing out over the city. What's going on in that mind? What's happening up there? He is, I guess, intrigued that, I don't know. What do you think? Like, what do you guys suspect? Why did he start a conversation with her?
I mean, I think it's just human nature. Like,
I'm at this party.
Yeah.
We're out here alone together.
Yeah. Let's strike up a conversation.
She looks like she's in a bad Annie wig.
You are totally right. Listener, in the theater of your mind's eye,
the sun will come out tomorrow.
Yes.
She's about to break into song and dance.
It's a hard knock life.
It's also like she's some street urchin looking for a daddy Warbucks.
Well, she certainly is.
In a cheesy Annie wig.
She's also very...
The hair's so bad.
Yeah, I know.
Please, Shrishma, make sure that you use this particular photo to do side by side with Little Orphan Annie.
Yeah. Okay. That's a great
Little Orphan
great
Nanny.
Little Orphan Nanny. Oh shit. I wonder if that's on purpose.
Probably.
Could be. Okay, so we know a couple things about Nanny. She has bad hair, and also she likes to talk. She's. Oh, you know what it is? He doesn't strike up the conversation. She asks him to start a conversation with her because she says her mother said, if you're at a party for 30 minutes and nobody talks to you,
you can't
then
get
you're
a man
loser
to talk to you.
or something. Yeah, right. Yeah. So
then
she's like, I've been here.
Then you should go home and kill yourself. That's what her mother said. Thanks, Mom.
Oh, foreshadowing. Yeah. Thanks a lot, Mom. Damn. So
it's harsh.
That's intense.
So she's like, I've been here for 25 minutes. Will you talk to me? And he does because listen, Peter Denver, an imperfect man, of course, as all men are, but not a bad man. Like this dude, I don't know. He falls into some bad circumstances. He handles it fairly well throughout, but I don't have a problem with this guy. Just like I didn't have a problem with him in Boardroom Handies too. I believe I said the exact same thing. So maybe Van Heflin is like one of my favorite actors and I don't even realize it. I don't know. He does talk with her and he finds out that she is 20 years old and she's an aspiring writer who hasn't been published yet, but she wants to write, just moved to the city, and she is fretful and also very hungry. So Peter asks her, because he doesn't have any plans for the next couple of weeks, he's like, well, why don't we go get dinner together? And she sort of takes that as a come on line, right? And he's like, and he reads into that right away. He's just like, no, not like that. We'll just go have dinner and be friendly, and that's it. And I actually, for once, believe him. I think that somebody drops that line and really does just like, wow, let's go out to dinner. You want to go?
Maybe back in the 1950s, it wasn't like a...
She reacts, though.
Yeah.
Like, she's
I mean,
sort of
I would react too. Like, if a guy is asking me out to dinner, like,
Yeah.
that would be my first reaction too.
Yeah.
So it's not like...
But he's pretty good about diffusing that tension and just be like,
enough.
come on, I'm
He
just
was very honest with it.
Look, I'm more than twice your age and I'm very married to this hot, famous woman. Like, don't worry about it. We can be friends. Carolyn, I thought I heard you open your mouth.
Yeah, I have a theory about the hunger, but I feel like we should. Unless
you're gonna wait to save it for.
Yeah, when we get there.
Well, yeah. Let's just save it till you get there. Peter eventually leaves, and then he also
he goes home and because his wife, Jean Tierney, is he had to drop her off at the airport.
She's at the hospital with mom.
Right, with her mom.
Right here, which, by the way, just real quick, hospital ashtray.
Hospital ashtray.
You gotta have it. And I took this shot of Pete hanging out in his single bed, and the wife's is across the table there, but also ashtray in between the beds, as you need.
I like his robe.
This is a pretty good. Oh, look at that! He's got some red in there as well. That is nice. Mm-hmm. No, Peter Denver. He's living a very good life right now.
He's a Broadway producer.
Yeah, married to a star, living in this baller apartment with this incredible robe.
Right.
Going out to dinner with friends. He's got friends now.
He can say no to going to parties, but he tells his wife all about this young, starving artist of a girl he takes to dinner out of the goodness of his heart. And he's like, I'm home. He's like, that party was boring. I went to dinner.
I met this kid. And
that's how he refers to her, this kid.
Yeah. And and she takes it really well. She's not
He then lists out what she eats.
You know what that kid got away with for dinner? A whole mess of marinated herring, 2 big bowls of pea soup, steak about the size of a doormat, 4 vegetables and some tomatoes, a bucket of salad, some cheese, and a chocolate nut sundae. No coffee.
Yeah, that was really quite funny.
Yeah.
She ate so much.
Yeah, she was so hungry.
I have theories about this.
Okay. Coming soon?
Coming soon. Yeah, we got to get to a point where, because I don't want to be a plot spoiler.
Now, we should know, and that's appreciated, Carolyn. Thank you for noting that. I'd like to note that you've noted that. And Shrishma, could you make a note of that?
Noted.
Thank you.
There's actually a plot.
And, well, we should also acknowledge the fact that Lottie and Brian see them leave together to go get dinner. And Lottie's a real mixer. Little Ginger Rogers. She's always raising the old eyebrow like, really, Peter? Is this what you're doing with your time? This woman, this child, whatever. She has a real attitude about everything.
About everyone.
Oh yeah, she does.
She likes really to say them.
And she also probably likes to spread those opinions all over town. Like her piecing things together. So
I'm kind of good with that. I'm kind of good with her being the town crier.
Well, and Peter seems good with it too, because he's like, before you hear it from Lottie, let me tell you what happened. And everybody knows that she's going to be talking, and you can believe X amount of it, apparently. So yeah, this begins their little friendship, Pete and Nanny. And here's Iris. Damn, Iris. So I just wanted to point out this establishing shot of a New York City street, because I believe we have seen this identical shot in a previous film. I will do some research on this for the future, but I think this is a repeat stock footage of, you guessed it, New York City. And the reason I recognize it is because we have this old sort of neoclassical building I believe I referred to as a post office or a library or something. This Knickerbocker beer sign that's on the back, that's on this billboard up against this.
Are we thinking this is from An Affair to Remember?
Could be An Affair to Remember. It could be The Best of Everything. It could be, there's so many New York movies from this era. But this Knickerbocker beer, this one really sticks out to me and made me think that I think we've seen this before. And this is, we should say this is a 20th Century Fox picture. We've watched loads of those.
This reminds me of the scene in An Affair to Remember, very specifically, where she gets out of the cab to go up to the top of the Empire State Building.
Okay. Yeah. Could be. I will do some research. I will look through our previous slide decks and find, I think I took this identical shot because Knickerbocker beer, take a picture. Anyway, we are in New York. In case you were worried about it, you need unique New York, guys. And Nanny arrives via flashback to her uncle. So now that we've established our characters, we're going to go back 3 months. Peter narrates this for the audience, and we see Nancy Nanny's arrival. And yes, she does meet up with her uncle, who is an actor. They don't refer to him as an uncle, though, ever, do they?
No.
It's always like my sister's brother or my mom's brother or something like that. So it's always a weird phrasing. And he seems very sort of not a relative. I don't know. He's very aloof. It's an odd relationship they have. But anyway.
A little orphan nanny seeing if he'll be her daddy warbucks.
Yeah, exactly. Well, come on in. Why not?
I guess, okay, let's pretend I had a child and it was annoying and probably looking to be a social climber and killing people. I don't know. Ruining their lives. Ruining people's lives. That would be a child of mine. Okay? And it shows up in Iceland and knocks on your door and says, hey, I'm 19. And you're my uncle.
And I'm moving in with you.
And I'm moving in with you.
Okay.
Mom and dad are
That's
dead.
a fair point. I would have a lot of questions. I would. Shrishma, don't give me that look.
Like,
I would.
Take a DNA test.
Yeah, look, I know I'm going to need some affidavits. I'm going to need something with a raised seal at the bottom of it. We then go to Peter's office. Iris is returning home from caring for her mother in New Orleans. And the reason we paused on this shot is not just because Peter is having himself up, my wife is almost home, I can get some cigarette, which he clearly is here, but in the little lobby area of his personal private office, I did want to do another ashtray inventory because we have one on his secretary's desk. We have one on the far table next to the sofa. And then we have one on the opposite side of that sofa. That is 3, count them 3 in the space of, I mean, this is what, like a 3 foot by 3 foot area. We've got 3 ashtrays. I mean, basically you could just close your eyes and put your hand out, flick the cigarette, and the ash lands somewhere in one of these trays. So just want to make note of that. Peter is a committed smoker, and he has brought that gusto to the office with him. Good for him. So he goes to pick up Iris, and they return back to their apartment, and they return to find that the lights are off, but the stereo is booming the opera Salome, which has been quoted earlier. Nanny quotes it earlier, and it's sort of a running theme that will rear its ugly head yet again later on. And they find themselves a little suicide comic. Actually, that quote comes into play right now because that's what she puts on this little comic of her hanging herself, basically. Anyway, as they continue sort of poking around their own apartment, now that the sound is on really loud and the lights are off, and they're checking things out to make sure everything is all right, they find her nanny. They find her body hanging, and she has apparently hanged herself and left behind a little comical suicide note about love and the weight of love and, how that shit's heavy sometimes.
And at this point, we know that she's just maybe dating that brother character.
This is all we know, is that her and John have a thing going on, yes. So we now move into the post-death phase of this movie. What is going on? How did this happen, you guys? That's what we need to get to the bottom of here. So the police are obviously called. They take the body out, and we get all these obnoxious press people sort of taking photos of the body being rolled out of the Denver's apartment, presumably because Peter and especially Iris are very famous people. And there's these paparazzi are just like, can't you pull that sheet off her face? Like, they say something similar to that anyway, and it's in poor taste. Now, Lottie and Brian stop in also to weigh in on their opinions of what has happened, and they just can't believe it. And actually, Lottie refers to Nanny as, quote unquote, that dingy little creep, which I thought was a pretty sick burn.
Not even Peter, with all of his radiant innocence about women, could have been stirred for one instant by that dingy little creep.
Good one, Ginger. Mm-hmm. So it's intimated that there was an affair, is the short version of all of this. And this is why she has killed herself. Hey there, everybody. It's your old pal, Midroll Jay-Z, likely interrupting myself to let you guys know about a little thing that we like to call the boom room. Now, you're probably asking yourself, what the fuck is this guy talking about now? Well, what I'm talking about, guys, and watch the language, please, is our Patreon page. And that's right. You can join us for $2 a month. And think about it, $2. I mean, you could easily set fire to $2 bills monthly and probably not feel too bad about it. And that's what we're talking about here. Burn your money by spending it on the Boom Room. It's our Patreon page. The link is in the show notes. And what you're going to get for that $2, you're going to get twice the content, because every movie we talk about here in the free feed is actually talked about for about twice as long, because we go scene by scene. We give you the full blow by blow, people, so you don't want to miss it. You want more of the scenes. You want more of Carolyn, Shrishma, Catherine, maybe myself, and sometimes Brindis. So all you got to do is just sign up, $2 a month. That's nothing, people. You can do it. We would love to have you. And if you do join us, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to thank you, like I will right now. Thank you. And now back to the show. Now, Peter makes some interesting decisions at this point, because he knows that they're coming for him. He has his inside track, but he also knows that he needs to provide some kind of evidence that's going to absolve him, because he's taking a look at these facts and the way that they are lining up. Ooh, this does not look good for him. You know, this is not going to be a good month for the Denver family if things remain the same. So what does he do? What everybody should do when somebody's coming for you, you run away. He just grabs his hat and he just books it out of his own office, takes the fire escape, everything.
Is this the same time period that we find out about Nanny being pregnant?
That happens.
I feel like that was part of the same thing where the detectives were like, she was murdered. Did you know she was pregnant?
Yeah, I remember them saying that line. I just feel like I would have made a note of it, but maybe not. Okay, so... Oh, no, it's before then. This is during the blind shot. This is when Iris and Brian stop by, and then Peter kicks them out, and Brian then drops the bomb on both of the Denvers that, did you know that she was pregnant? And nobody did, but we are all astonished.
But how did Brian know?
I believe the police told her. Yeah, I think they were speaking with them. But yeah, so the pregnancy news is out. The murder news is out. It's all out there. And Peter is out there too, running for the hills, trying to find something to get him out of this jam. Fortunately, the detectives are next to useless, and so they lose him, and he just gets to go about his business. And where does he start, you know?
Also, he's white, so...
And also, he's a white man. He's a rich white man, too. I mean, we can throw in all those factors. They all add up to... Hey, 1950s man in a gray suit. There it is again. Crazy. He does call Brian back to be like, hey, thanks for the call. I just wanted to let you know that I ran away from the police. And Brian's sort of like, is that a good idea? Like, should you have done that? I think they want to speak with you. I think this looks bad for you, friend. But Pete's on to the next thing, and he needs to track down, I don't know, something that's going to get him out of this. So Peter goes to Claire's apartment again, Claire Amberley's apartment, pretends to be a policeman to get her to open the door. He then bursts inside, puts her in a headlock, and pries the info out of Claire about the timeline of when Nanny told her that she had met Peter, and they establish a date. We're not going to get too deep into the weeds on this, but this does start establishing a timeline, which will come into play later. So Nanny told Claire a bunch of things that are seemingly outrageous, you know, like that don't line up for us who have been watching this.
That's a really interesting way to get information out of somebody, I suppose.
Put somebody in a headlock,
right? And
then after you let them go, and they backsass, he chokes her basically, like he puts his hand on her throat.
He literally took. Yeah, I mean, I guess he's
in
scared.
most places that's illegal,
isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a death grip. Okay. And I was defending Peter here.
As a decent guy.
Yeah, like 30, 40 minutes ago about how cool he is. But you know what? I'm going to take that back because the choking, you can't do it, guys.
That's what did it for you.
You can't.
No, I'm just kidding.
Well, he doesn't actually murder Shrishma.
Is that the conclusion? So it's not Peter.
So he's fine, okay? He can do what he wants.
Okay. So he can choke women.
Now, all right. Look, we're headed into my favorite scene, right?
Oh.
So after he goes and chokes Claire, he picks up the trail of the mysterious Nancy Nanny at the same cool hip club that she was waiting tables at. Now he goes there and the place has been shut down. It's so weird that it's shut down. Like, why would they change the location? I don't know. Like, were they shooting a different movie on that set that day, or what?
It's 1954 New York, I guess.
Things open and close.
Happening.
Hey, I get it. Fortunately for him, there's a very friendly, in the loop older man sitting on his stoop who's like, yeah, no, it's closed. He gives him the whole rundown. Like, yep, cops shut it down. They didn't have a license and all this. And he's like, but who are you looking for? And she's like, yeah, I need to talk to somebody who used to work here at this time. And he's like, I'll tell you what you do. You got to go speak to Anne. She used to run the coat check, and now she's around the corner at the bar and grill. You can find her there. Go find her and talk to her. And so enters into our picture the next hottie, Anne, who is, I think, my favorite character, right? So here she is. We need to spend some time with her because...
Representation watch. She's an African-American woman. Her name is Hilda Sims. Looked into her a little bit. She has a very big theater background, was on Broadway, and was just starting to get roles in movies. And shortly after this film, actually, she gets blacklisted during the 1950s communist, witch hunting. She is accused of communist sympathies and never works in film ever again, really. It's really sad. She's only in 4 or 5 movies. And the sad part is not that, it's sad enough that her career was ruined because of blacklist bullshit. A lot of people were affected by this. Doubly sad, the fact that she's an African-American woman in the 1950s in a genuine role. Right. She's participating in the plot of the movie. Have we seen this at all? We rarely, if ever, see this. I guess Quarrel and Dr. No, but he's still just driving the boat. You know what I mean? But number 3 is the fact that I think she's a really good actor. I like this performance. It was a good performance, and she was actually I felt like she looked really good. She had a really nice look about her.
Yeah, and her performance, what sets her apart, I think, is how naturalistic the performance is. It's not, especially coming off of Ginger Rogers and that, or her accent, right? Right. It's so heavy and over the top in a big performance, like we say.
A transparent, syrupy little phony with about as much to offer a man as Cuckoo the Bird Girl.
Hilda Sims' performance here as Anne is so laid back and in the know and chill and controlled and smooth. I just loved everything. I was shocked that this was happening and that a black woman was getting fucking lines in a movie in the 1950s and also knocking them out of the park. I think this is the best performance. Carolyn Naoroz, what do you think?
I think it's an excellent performance. I think, as Shrishma said, she looks amazing. And it was a highlight for me in this film, to be honest with you, because it was a real standout.
I want her movie. Right. I want to know what's going on in her. Why do we not get more of her? I will dig into her remaining films, but it really is so sad that she only did a handful and then she couldn't work anymore. She passed away in 1994, but she apparently had a very good life after this and became got a master's in teaching or something like that. And, but just incredible woman that we should make note of and celebrate here because fucking nobody else is. I never heard of this woman before. Hilda Sims, though, she is on our list. Spotlight. Put a statue, Spotlight on Hilda Sims. Great name, too. Hilda Sims. Nice. Anyway, she's got all the information and she explains that she knows there's no way that Nanny killed herself. That girl was too busy, by which she means operating. She's too busy climbing the ladder, finding a new target, exploiting said target, getting up there for her own ends, basically. Because she knew Nanny back in the day, at the beginning of her journey in New York City, Peter's trying to figure out, well, who did she live with before Claire? Everybody assumed it was a woman. I don't know why.
But he does piece it together that Anne has the information. She's like, no, it was a man, and this is the address. I remember it because it's all 9s, which is weird. So that's why I have this at hand. And he goes to the address and he discovers that it's one of his actors who is sort of like sheepishly like, oh, you figured it out, huh? Oh, okay. And the uncle says that he believes that Peter is her lover. Like she'd been talking about this new love affair, and he just pieced it together that it was Peter. And while they are talking about this, the police show up and Pete runs away again. It's just his MO right now. But they know that he's there. And so they're like, well, everything that he told you, you tell us right now. And the uncle rolls over, of course. So Peter sneaks home. And when he sneaks home, who should walk in but his wife, Iris? Dun, dun, dun. What is amazing, what I love about this is that you would think that it would lead to a big dramatic blow up or something like that. But she is so happy to see him because at this point, we got an APB out for somebody who looks exactly like Van Heflin and may have murdered somebody who looks like Little Orphan Annie. She knows this is not true. She's still standing by him. It's pretty amazing. And she's happy to see him and she believes him. Now, she agrees to get Lottie out of the house so Peter can speak with Brian, because Pete put it together that, look, everything I've been hearing about the story that she was telling people, and they assumed it was me, is that all they knew is that she had met somebody, they had fallen in love, his wife is very famous and wealthy, and so the man cannot leave because it would be a scandal and also money issues, I guess. And so that's the issue. Everybody hears this story without a name attached to it and just assumes it's Peter.
Peter, okay.
But the reality is, as Peter points out, there's more than one man in this building who fits that description, and his name is Brian. And so he wants to throw this in Brian's face. Now, it turns out that Brian did, in fact, totally knock her up.
Oh.
Can I enter an alternative theory?
Oh, I'd love to hear it, please.
Okay. I'm not saying Brian didn't knock her up. What I'm saying is I think she came to New York pregnant, and that's why girl was so hungry all the time. She's asking everybody for a meal. So I think she came to the city with some country-ass bun in the oven, and she was looking for a mark that would pave her way.
That's an amazing conspiracy theory. Because all this happens within the span of 3 months.
Much. Yeah, right, exactly.
She's always hungry. She's always fretful. When he meets her, though, but when he meets her, she would be 3 months in at the very least. At the least, and she's not showing.
You're not really showing them.
Yeah, okay.
I thought she was homeless.
Oh.
That's why she was eating so much. And that's why she kept needing a place to stay.
Well, she definitely needed a place to stay, but I think girl was knocked up when she arrived on the uncle's doorstep. And because from the moment she arrived in the city, she was like, I'm hungry.
Yeah.
I think she was knocked up and she thought that the brother, the lawyer dude, was a good mark at first. But then when she's like, oh man, I found better.
Well, let's be real here. Brian doesn't have the...
Getting greedy there.
Brian doesn't have the stuff to get the job done.
But the brother was cuter, I felt.
Yeah, but the brother doesn't have any money yet.
Oh, okay.
No, he does have money. They're wealthy. The Amberleys are wealthy.
No, yes, I know, but he's like
Not
still
yet.
in law
school. He hasn't inherited. Yeah, okay.
And she had to wait for him to propose till he turned 21.
That's
and so she kind of was on a bit of a time crunch there. If you think about her arriving,
all of this adds. This is a great,
pregnant.
Carolyn. I think you've just blown it wide open. I love it. I am on board with your conspiratorial thinking. For the sake of the film as it exists, though, Brian's like, yeah, it was me. I did it, We flash back to her telling Brian in the Denver apartment that she is pregnant with his kid. So she plans to blackmail Peter over the kid and say that it's Peter's baby. That way, Brian can divorce Lottie and then they can be together. It's something like that, right? She wants to take the heat off of Brian. Yeah, sure.
This is all
you were probably drifting off into dreamland at this point. But this is the thing. And Brian's like, wait, you want to sell out one of my best friends, Peter, just so we can have this baby together? He is shocked at how callous she is about the whole thing. And it is rather shocking because she doesn't give a fuck. She's like, yeah. We'll just sell out Peter and then we can be together. End of. Now, in present time, Lottie and Iris show up with the detective. At this point, the detective pulls out his trump card, which is, well, fellas, I'm glad you've had the apartment to yourself to discuss all the dirty details of this crime we're trying to solve because I've had the apartment wired and now we're going to listen to the beginning of this conversation. He goes over to the fireplace and like pulls out a bug and shows it to him, to which I have to ask, Carolyn, is this legal and is it admissible in court, this recording?
When was this movie made? 1950 something?
54.
I'd have to look at the legislation, but I honestly think that a lot of the wiretapping laws,
we're still pre-Miranda
them
rights, right? Because this is right after Dragnet. So
right, and I think that a lot of our current understanding of like you need a warrant for a wiretap actually comes from the 1970s.
I see.
But I'd have to check my references. Sorry.
Yeah,
but,
that sounds.
I mean, technically you'd need a warrant, but I feel like maybe in this time period that wasn't in place
I think they were doing whatever the fuck they wanted to do. You know,
yeah,
I really do. But like, did you break into my house and bug it?
Yeah,
you're gonna throw this in my face?
I guess that's one way to do it.
Yeah, I guess so. So it turns out that Lottie thought that Nanny was Peter's girl. But she also knew that her husband, Brian, had somebody on the side, had a side piece, but didn't think that it was Nanny. That seemed crazy to her. So then we get a young actor who enters. This is an interesting scene. He shows up. He's been summoned by the detectives, and we meet this kid who recognizes Peter from auditioning for a place a couple years prior. So he knows this guy. Now, Peter, because he's a producer, is like, and you are, but one of those things. But eventually he is like, yeah, for this role, I do kind of remember that. Yes, we do know each other. Now, it turns out that this young actor had seen Peter when this crime was apparently taking place, which absolves him of his guilt.
Okay.
Because he's like, I was keeping my eye on you because I did want to talk to you about a role. And also, I'm a ticket taker there, but it's only temporary. I'm a very serious actor, and I would like you to take me seriously. And Peter's like, yeah. I need to deal with this first, and I'll talk to you later.
I'm being accused of murder here.
Lottie's part of the story is that she had gone down to the Denver's apartment and heard them arguing inside and heard Nanny say, no, Peter, I don't want to do, or whatever. It said his name. So she's like, that's how I knew that it was you in there. But then this actor comes in and is like, no, he was at the theater, so it's got to be somebody else. So now we're questioning Lottie's story. What is happening now? And the detective gets all up in Lottie's face. And we get a new flashback in which Lottie listens in on a phone conversation between Brian and Nanny. And this is when it becomes clear to her that there is an affair happening. So she then goes for Nanny to give her the boot. Like, you got to pound sand, get out of town. Like, you need to leave town. I do not want you around anymore. And I don't like you fucking my husband without my say so. So you got to go. But Nanny gets inside of her head. And it's just like, he's never going to love you the same way. And he's tired of living in your shadow. And we love each other. We're going to have a baby and all this stuff. And Lottie just snaps. And she strangles Nanny. And then the final blow, the detective pulls out his floor plan that he had drawn, right? Or the paper that he had taken when he was drawing the floor plan with Lottie's doodles and handwriting. And they had done a forensic handwriting analysis, and it matched up with the fake suicide letter. What's that, Carolyn?
It's the worst part. This is just, I was like, oh, come on.
CSI stuff.
And so it turns out, boy, Lottie done it. And as we close out the film, Peter speculates in a rather sexist fashion that She's going to use her feminine wiles and
crazy.
performing, her performance skills as an actor to work the jury, and then they'll go to jail or something like that, for her eventual acquittal.
So is there part 2 where there's the trial?
Boy, I don't know. We'll have to look into it and find out. Not that I'm aware of, but could be. Maybe it's a sequel we need to be writing. You guys tell me. But so concludes 1954's Black Widow. Well done.
Excellent.
There it was. Now,
I must say I like these movies more than your love arc.
You like the noirs of Moirch better than...
I think I like the genre more.
Love at Home and
Abroad.
Abroad.
The mystery.
You like the murder mystery aspect.
Sure, yes, I agree. It does keep things moving. We tend to get bogged down less in these types of movies, I think. Yeah. That being said, there does tend to be a lot of moments of silence and people walking around sneaking and creeping tend to be not, sonically engaging, but it's fun to watch anyway. But okay, well, that's great to hear. So you've got 2 more coming. So it's going to be a great March for you. Congrats. Well, let's do our business. So Shrishma.
Yes.
1954, Van Heflin, Ginger Roberts, Gene Tierney, and a bunch of other people. Black Widow. Do we keep watching this?
Yes. We can keep it. This was not so bad. I did fall asleep, but it was not because it was a bad movie. It was because I was tired.
You were sleepy.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
It was good. It was a decent pace also.
It moves. It's hour 37 or something like that. I mean, it's a
okay. I think I like
package.
this one. I think
okay.
And then the representation watch twice was a plus.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I'm okay. We can keep this one.
Okay, great. It's a yes for Shrishy Boo. Carolyn Naoroz, what's the sister vote on 1954's Black Widow?
My vote is no. Because I cannot stand the little orphan nanny hair. But also I feel like this particular investigation this part of the whodunit was a little flimsy.
Did old David Time Machine watch this one with you?
No, he did not.
Oh, he did not? Oh, okay. I'd be curious to hear his analysis of the policing that was done in this movie.
Also laughed at the handwriting and doodle analysis.
Hey, that holds up in court, apparently.
No.
Okay. So it's a barely no from you. Or is it a major no from you?
No, it's just a no.
Okay. Just a flat no. All right. Yeah. Fair enough. Split decision, you guys. Boy, where do I go? What do I do? No, it's a yes from me. It's not a strong yes,
right?
But I will say that there's nothing terribly offensive in this movie. It does move, and there's some intrigue, and I think. But Shrishma, like you mentioned, the real nail in the coffin of this argument is Hilda Sims,
right?
And her performance as Anne, which I'm just shocked to see. I can't believe that such a thing exists. We've watched so many of these fucking movies with nothing close to this that. I got to keep it, if only because this is only one of 5 movies that she made or whatever. Right. So,
also, I think the closest thing to it was Little Stevie Wonder.
Yes, exactly.
In the beach party.
I think that's the only other example of somebody, being treated as a human being. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's a yes from me. You at home, you let us know what you think. You give it a watch, and you tell us yes or no. And so concludes 1954's Black Widow, you guys. We have done it again. Let's just talk real quick about next week's film. Now, of course, March rolls on. March marches on, if you will, and the noirs of Moirch also march on. So, we're in 1954 now. Next week, we will be joining 1955 in progress with 1955's Violent Saturday. 3 men case a small town very carefully with plans to rob the bank on the upcoming Saturday, which turns violent and deadly. Starring Victor Mature, Richard Egan, and Stephen McNally. Check it out. This one I have seen. I will reserve my judgment, of course, but I'm looking forward to doing this episode next week. But until then, thank you so much for joining me, guys, here at the Observatory Studios. Shrishma Naik, Carolyn Naoroz, you guys are the best. We give our shout outs to Catherine Sherlock and Brindis Arenas' daughter as well. They are with us in spirit, but also they've got a lot of paperwork to do because this show does not run itself, people. But now I will send it over to myself in the future to do a little outro. Take it away, fella. Thank you so much, me from the past. You know, I'm just the bumper voice, but I'll tell you, this podcast that you guys just listened to, I mean, it's pretty good, right? I think this might be my favorite show. Anyway, you let us know what you thought about that opinion, or the movie Black Widow, or about the Little Orphan Annie hair, or whatever you want. Just write to us, partyline@oldmovietimemachine.com. Also follow us on the socials. We are at Time Machine Podcasts on Instagram. And, you know, wherever you're listening to the show, give us 5 stars. It's real easy. You just got to click the button. You know, it's nothing to you guys, but it's everything to us. Now, next week, as mentioned, we are going to be watching 1955's Violent Saturday. This is fortunately very available for most of us at home here. And you can find it if you want to watch it. And I suggest you do, guys. Get caught up before next Wednesday when this episode drops. Violent Saturday is available for rent or purchase at the following locations: Apple TV, Amazon, Google Play, YouTube, DirecTV, and of course, the grand champion of all streaming platforms, AMC Theaters On Demand. It's too long, guys. I can't read the logo. Anyway, get caught up on Violent Saturday, and we will catch you right here next Wednesday. But until then, please, don't you dare forget that this has been Old Movie Time Machine.